want to step on it? Yeah. You go closer to it. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This meeting is of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There's time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda items remarks of the public. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Zatori? Mr. Douglas?
Here.
Mr. Kotowski?
Here.
Dr. Phelps?
Here.
Mr. Thorson?
Here. Now the pledge of allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda and agenda items. I'm looking to make a motion tonight for items, Jeff, that we had talked about, item 8F, the administrative contract extensions. I'm looking to actually postpone those indefinitely. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, discussion. The reason why is not at all, and let me state that not at all that I'm not comfortable with the folks that we have in this position, just that I'm not comfortable making an evaluation. We've never been in a position where we've extended contracts past a 2-year period, and being new to this board, 5 months into this, I'd like a chance to look over the evaluations that we're given to be able to make an informed decision. Those evaluations were provided today. I know they're not necessarily used as a criteria, but with my experience, I would like that time to review them. Does anybody else have?
Yeah, I would actually like to see us review those contracts because we've lost our treasurer and we have an interim superintendent, and we're basically on the verge, at least potentially, of losing all institutional memory, all experience within this. And I think a show of confidence in our administrators, that's really what I'm talking about, Dan, is I feel pretty confident about the job they've been doing. I mean, having been here 5 months, almost 6, I mean, I understand where we're coming from. I feel very comfortable in reviewing those contracts, and I think it's really essential, if we don't do it tonight, that we do it very soon.
And I don't necessarily think I'm not in a position where I'm disagreeing with that at all. I'm not saying that I'm not reviewing contracts. We have these folks under contract for 2 years. They haven't completed the first year. I think what I'm saying is, to extend it in the 3rd year, which we haven't done in this district before, without having a chance to review those, I don't think would be prudent for me. Now, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I certainly understand how you feel, but we've never had a situation like this before, though. It's really unprecedented.
May we not have one like this again?
Yeah,
Very long time.
So we've never had this situation again where we don't have a superintendent and we don't have a treasurer at the same time, and where all of the institutional memory rests within a few people here, and that's basically why I'd like to see us do it. And I'll of course look to do it, and if we end up not doing it, I think we should really address this as soon as possible.
Okay. Gentlemen, any other discussion?
I would like to add that I think they are a great asset to the community and to the school system. So I guess my concern is that I got to read these like an hour ago.
You're talking about the evaluations?
Yeah, the evaluations. So I looked at the evaluations on my computer. I did meet with Mr. Palmer last Wednesday, but he didn't actually give me the evaluations to look at. So last Wednesday, he and I met in the personnel committee, but those evaluations weren't there. He told me about their committee, but there were no evaluations to read. So I read them literally like a half hour ago. And the one thing I've learned is sometimes it's good to think about decisions, and especially decisions when I'm only here 4 months, so I don't really know a lot of the information. I've had minimal interaction. I know and Mr. Cont have, and I'm not saying absolutely say, without digesting the reviews, it didn't give up much time. It was an hour to look at. That's what we have.
Thank you. I'm very concerned also about the direction of the institution, being without a treasurer and a superintendent are very big concerns of mine. And I don't want in any way, shape, or form to vote tonight on this issue to hurt our administrators that are here, are working very hard. I am making an effort in my second week. You have 5 months. I'm in my second week on the board. I am reaching out to all of the administrators, because especially the ones on item F, so that I can meet them, find out about their philosophy and how they're doing in the job also. So I'd like to make an informed decision also. I didn't receive the evaluation until a couple of hours ago myself. So, and I know that that's not my job, that's the superintendent's job, and I want to make sure that I'm being a board member, not trying to micromanage the superintendent. I want to give him support in making this recommendation, but it is incredibly important that we have to sustain the people that are here. And I only know half of the names on that list. I happened to attend graduation last week because my son graduated, and it was a phenomenal event. And I know that Jay Bishop's name is on that list, and I would not want him to leave this building tonight thinking that there's any question that I would not support him and the other ladies that are on that list, and there are a couple of gentlemen there also. I want to make an informed decision, so please do not leave this room tonight thinking that this is a vote of no confidence.
And if I might add, too, we had some discussion, and I think you recall that, regarding incentives and incentive pay, and we wanted to sort of shelve that until we ratified the teachers' contracts. And so I think in conjunction with this is some of that incentive pay that we talked about that we were willing to offer a lot as well. So I guess from my standpoint, it's definitely not a no in the least bit. It's just, can we have a little more time to look at this? They're within their 2-year contracts. They're not completed a 2-year contract. And we have about 18 months really to go in that direction, I would think. Jeff, this was a recommendation that you had made. If I may, what were your thoughts on those recommendations? I would like to hear.
Thank you, Mr. Norris. I think the concern I had is one that Ben has already mentioned. This district is facing some unprecedented times in central office with the superintendent and treasurer turnover. We have a resignation of our pupil personnel director as well, a retirement, I should say. So we have in central office on July 1st, we're going to have less than the most experienced person in central office is going to have less than 3 years experience with the district. Not that all experience with the district is all that matters, but this is an unusual time that has been mentioned. My intentions on this were to provide a sense of stability and consistency, not only for our administrative staff, but more importantly for our teachers and our students in what goes on in the classroom. We need to make sure that the confusion and the change that has happened in central office doesn't impact what goes on in the classrooms. You know, I would just say in conclusion, you know, this was on the May 28th agenda. There were some discussions about evaluations, but you know, there was really no one asking to see them. But last night I decided to send those out. It was like 8:30 when I came up and sent those out. But you know, I strongly endorse these 5 administrators as 5 strong administrators who have done a great job in their first year. And my intention was simply to provide stability and some consistency between the central office changes and what goes on in our classroom.
I think that's very duly noted, and I don't think that anybody on this board would disagree with that. I think it comes back to it's even that much more of an important decision as to not only how their terms look, but how we compensate them, how we performance-based, and how we bring the members along. And again, I don't think there's anyone on this board that would disagree with the statement you just made. It might be just the timing you had a chance to review. And because we're not looking at them, their contracts expiring in a month or 2 months, we're looking at them expiring in another year. It makes it even that much easier for us to spend that time That's how I feel. I would feel more comfortable with that. Any more discussion?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
No, the only other thing I was going to add is I would like to personally reach out to Brenda Harris and the council to talk to them, if we're delaying this. I've not had any discussions with either one personally, privately. I think they've done a good job presenting. But I'd like to, reading the reviews an hour ago, I think they're doing a great job. I think they'd be a great asset. I think we would love to have them stay, but I would also like to talk to them and actually get more of a sense of a personal understanding on a number of issues. I really think the administration and the board has to bridge a gap. I mean, anybody who's seen what's going on in the last 4 months, there's a gap. And I want more than anything for them to work with us, for us to work with them, and to understand how do we get together, to work together as a team. And, as a new former, I haven't felt part of that team, so I'm just being honest. I felt that it was, someone mentioned at the last board meeting, it was an us against them. I didn't come in here to be an us against them. That was not my desire. I didn't want that. And I think, just by saying, let's think about it, let's talk, let's have Mr. Douglas attend talk. As I understand it, this can be voted on next meeting after. Is that correct?
I mean, sure, we can have this could be an agenda item at any meeting. Look forward to that.
Dan, let me just respond to what you're saying. Sure. It's pretty clear how the vote is going to go, but it's a discussion we have.
Hello. I'm now seeing the impossible dream.
So, Dan, it's a discussion we're going to have, and that's why I want to bring it up now so that people can think about it. If we, at this point, when we need these administrators and we need to send a message of stability to the schools, if we take the time that it takes to do proper compensation, meaning the sliding scale bonuses, all the things that go into various kinds of non-salary compensation, that will take time. And I think time is of the essence in this. It doesn't mean it has to happen at this meeting, but it does mean, this summer we should really, before the kids come back, we should really try to offer those contracts. It might be to stabilize the administration,
I think that's a fair time.
where the teachers see us coming from.
I mean, from my standpoint, I think that's a very fair time for
I'm good with that.
roll call. Okay, so the motion would be that we eliminate item, eliminate from the agenda item 8F, and then approve the agenda as written, except for that. Got a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Gorson?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katowski?
No.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Okay, in the last meeting, going to minutes, we did not approve the minutes of April 28, 2014. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes as in your packets?
I move to approve.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any discussion? That would be hard for you, Mr. Douglas. You weren't there for that meeting. But, okay, roll call.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Abstain.
Mr. Katowski?
Yes.
Okay. Going to item 5, which is our treasury reports, and I want to also explain to the public, normally at this stage we usually have public remarks. The unfortunate part is, as you can see, we don't have Mrs. Vittori here, and I had a limited time in my schedule, so we tried to keep this meeting somewhat concise. We thought we could get through some of the board meetings and then have enough time, at least 30 minutes, as we always have, for public remarks. We didn't put it at the end to sort of stifle that, but just at the end, so we could do this for timing, and then you'd have a lot of time. We probably spent a lot more discussion on that last agenda item than I anticipated, but in all fairness, to let everybody have a chance to speak their mind, that's what we wanted to do. A little different agenda than we've had before. Treasurer's report, item number 5.
Okay, these are the April financial reports. What I would like to point out to the board is that food service made a profit of a little over $10,000 in April, and may most likely end the year in the black. So that's
Without that
all I'm
experience, Ben, with your experience, tell the crowd why that's significant too. So first of all, it's significant that we made a profit.
For everyone who doesn't know, food service is harder to turn a profit on, especially when you have done things like lost students and so on, so that you have staff that's for a larger school. And we had a contract a few years ago that people who were on the board before who were there would remember, which resulted in us having significant losses. And
Like 75,000, right?
yeah, very, very large. Bill, did you mention what the losses were, just in the public?
It was a lot larger than
Was it
$75,000.
$200,000? Because that figure sticks in my mind.
$250,000 we lost in years past.
Anyway, massive losses, and now it's to the point where even on a bad month, we're only losing a little, and now we've turned the corner and we have a profit. So
Awesome.
there you are, Dan. It's good news.
Awesome, great. Anything else, or can we move right into the treasurer's recommendations?
That was part of that was the food service was in there. I just also have the April check listing some supplemental appropriations. We also have the 14-15 school fees for each building, and the now and then statements.
And I'm pretty sure we made a motion to approve all these things at last meeting, but because of the length of last meeting, I think it got a little kind of confusing. So would you like a roll call to approve those?
I think I need a first.
I have a motion to approve the treasurer's recommendations. Is there a second? Mr. Kwiatkowski seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mr. Kwiatkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Standing committee discussions. Mr. Kwiatkowski, did you have a chance to do curriculum during this? Okay. My committee, we had talked TURF, and I don't know if we have Bill here with us tonight. Bill, you may. We met Friday after our initial meeting on Wednesday because we had talked about we were going to do that, to listen to where the TURF project was and where they needed our help and what we could do to help them. So Mr. Russo, Shauna, Mr. Palmer, myself, Mr. Nutter, we all met with Bill, and we discussed what needed to happen for TURF to see the light of day, and how the school board might be a part of that. Bill, would you like to talk about where you're at with donations and how that all looks right now? And this is the first time you're able to have a talk before public remarks and before the discussions that we usually have. So.
That is nice. We appreciate that. Where we are, we have basically the cost of the field, $675,000 is the overall cost of the field, turnkey. That includes everything. We are at approximately somewhere between $475,000 and $500,000 of pledges that we have towards that field. Of that, we believe that we could have, by about July 1st, we could have about $250,000 to $275,000 of those dollars in hand. We actually have identified $338,000 that are quote-unquote due per the contracts we worked on. So we have higher hopes, but at the same time, we feel comfortable coming up with at least $250,000 to $275,000 in cash before the potential proposed, the date that we're going to propose to do the turf.
After last Wednesday's meeting, or our past meeting, I should say, it was mentioned that Kenston had done something similar to what we're looking to do, where they took out a loan, a promissory note from their school board to be able to get this project done. And that's something similar to what TURF Committee would like to do with WestGBrd School Board. And so from that process, I think it is the Gridiron Club and the boosters that had made a proposal where they would be on a promissory note to the board for the remaining balance. And it's basically the school board, in general terms, lending money to get this project going while those donations are coming in. Okay? So tonight, what we'd be looking to do is pretty much accepting a donation from the TURF Committee, putting Mr. Russo in charge of an initial agreement to purchase turf, through state term contracts. And those details of the promissory note and how that works out would be something that would be forthcoming. Now, we have a proposal. Our attorney is reviewing that proposal as to how those terms would look of them repaying us. But basically, we're taking a certain amount of effort, a leap of faith, if you will, to put behind Bill. And I, for one, think that that's something that we should take a look at. So I'm going to make it a motion now. How much cash do you have? Now's the do or die time. How much cash do you have to present today as that donation?
I believe we got to get the final number. We unfortunately have about $165,000 would be my belief of what we have in actual cash today. Plus, as you look at the $675,000, $28,000 is an in-kind donation that's reduced off of that cost.
Sure.
So that portion would be added to the cash portion that we would have. So we'd be looking at about $193,000 today. So we would be gathering, our hope is that we'd be gathering, we will be gathering about another $90,000 prior to July 1st for what we're looking from on the agreement.
Okay, what I'd like to do is make a motion and hopefully have a second so we can have discussions and roll calls to see where the board feels. What I would like to do is make a motion to accept the $165,000 that you have in cash donations today, instructing Mr. Russo to initiate development and specifications to purchase the turf through state term contract. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, where's the money going to come from?
Bill, where's the money come from? Where's the money come from? Us?
All right.
Sure. The money comes from our general fund at this stage of the game. We're acting as the bank to this committee. Your donations come in what form, though?
Well, most of the donations are done over the first 2 years, with the remainder with a small amount, maybe $40,000. Have it on the sheet here.
Sure.
Maybe
You
about
provided that
$40,000.
in every meeting.
Yeah, you have received that. So about $30,000 to $40,000 coming in years 3 and years 4. We're also asking, as part of the agreement, we are asking the school right now is designated basically about $20,000 a year, $10,000 a year that there are maintenance costs that having a turf field have been identified as having a turf field will save about $10,000 in maintenance costs. Paint, mowing, all the other different things that you need to do to prepare the field on a regular game-to-day basis. The labor that would be required to replace that is very minimal. It's driving a gator back and forth over the machine, depending on the use, as much as once a week, but generally less. An additional $10,000 has been earmarked over the years and has been planned to be spent on more longer-term upgrades as far as reseeding the field and preparing the field for long terms. That's the $20,000 that we are identifying that we are asking the school. From the get-go, our goal is for the school never to have to spend any money out of pocket for this project, and we want this to be community. And so what we're proposing to the school board is that the school board takes those $20,000 that they're spending now, and to be able to offset those costs just for the first 5 years is what we're asking. 5 years, so that would be $100,000. Again, no additional dollars. We're further proposing that the school keep and utilize, again, this is the proposal on how the agreement works out, the rental fee income from the field. Kenston, the other day in the presentation, they're receiving $15,000 a year specifically in rentals for the field. So the school actually has the opportunity, so not only is the school spending dollars that they are already spending, no additional money coming out of pocket, they also have the chance to generate $5,000 to $15,000 a year from rentals, depending on how aggressive the school wants to be. We did not want to be in a situation to say that the school had to be aggressive or not as far as pursuing the rents and the rentals.
Sure. Jeff, I'd like just your input on this as well, because I know you've worked with the turf committee since it initially started with Bill, with this committee and his feedback. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, obviously, I think it's a good project as I've been involved from the get-go, like you said. The challenge and the challenge that the board faces is committing to these amounts of dollars over time, and that's a tough decision that only the board can make. I mean, of those that it's unfortunate. You know, there were several factors that led to the fundraising issues. Most of those really outside of the control of the group. But you know, as far as that, the viability of the project, it's a good project, and it comes down to the dollars and cents, and that's what you guys are here for.
What we have non-pledged at this point, the dollars remaining, if the school is that good for the $100,000? We have about $120,000 that we have non-pledged at this point. And that's what the Boosters Club, the Gridiron Club has already approved it in full. They're very excited. We've actually created some ability. I mean, one of the goals of this project is not just to put a turf field in. The goal is to upgrade all the athletic facilities throughout all of the school district. And so the marketing opportunities, what we're proposing doing is creating a joint group. The athletic boosters and the Gridiron Club would be equally represented, and this group would continue to raise dollars. Once they raise the dollars to complete this project, which we believe could actually happen as early as this fall, we don't commit to that, but what we believe is going to happen as early as fall, we're going to be starting on Project 2, Project 3, and Project 4. We're going to be coming back. Restrooms, fields, practice fields, everything.
Bill, this is a fantastic project. I mean, anybody who's ever been to a football game and seen what it means to the community knows how important this project is. You know, I'm just talking about it from a standpoint of dollars now. You know, we have a person who we have authorized half-time as an alumni person who could, when we fill that position, help you raise that money. I mean, that's going to be their job, and we could put them on this, and this could be the whole proof of concept, you know, whether or not that will work to raise funds. And if this project were to wait until next spring, you know, we've been using that deal for 60 years. It's, you know, 1 year, I think, wouldn't kill us. We'd be able to possibly raise the money with some professional help and, you know, coming right here from the administration. Also, one of the obstacles we face is we've increased spending on kindergarten by $283,000. We've possibly lost $250,000 in money from open enrollment. We've spent $70,000 on iPads. We've spent an enormous amount of money on keyboards for those iPads. We've spent $134,000 on technology so that kids could take their achievement tests at the high school. We have spent an enormous amount of money all off budget. And so and another $100,000 allocated for technology is not in the budget originally. And so I'm really concerned about spending. I mean, we're looking at possibly spending $400,000, depending on you know, how successful you are at raising the money. And I know you said Kenston has done that, and that's really encouraging. That really, you know, that really makes it sound very feasible. You know, I'm just concerned that once we fund it, and you can tell me this, how are you going to get donations? Because the field's already there. I mean, the urgency is gone. We've got a field, and there it is.
Yeah, what we're a little bit surprised of right now is that was our concern. We didn't want to do anything until we flipped, because who's going to put money? What we're offering to the community, to businesses, is these marketing opportunities. We have never been more successful in fundraising than in the last 2 weeks when people see light, that there's potential, that there's a field. Kenston presented there last month from 50 events to 1,178 events. I'll do a little sales pitch. For $10,000, a company is able to get their name on the stadium very visibly for 7 years to 1,178 teams. That's probably arguably 7,000 to 8,000 people that are going to be seeing this. We've sort of turned from a, hey, let's do this to get this done, to, hey, now look at the marketing opportunity that you have, and that's what people are excited for. You know, we feel with that type of usage that naming rights for the stadium is back on the table. And we've heard rumbling of people that are interested, because that's a longer term contract. And the number of eyeballs and ears that are listening and seeing that is significant. And from a standpoint of why not wait a year, you know, we presented a plan that the plan starts making dollars in day one. I'm not, without even going into injury, what's a concussion worth? What's a torn up knee worth? Without even going there, even though I just did. You know, we're looking at from dollars and cents, that this makes sense today. And if we have a question on the numbers, we can break those, you know, we can talk about that right now. You know, the athletic boosters and the gridiron club are standing behind the final dollars, which means there's no risk. And starting in year 6, now we're going to be asking the board to recognize the savings of those dollars for field replacement, you know, from year 6 through year 15. But, you know, we're only asking years 1 through 5. And that doesn't even take into account a significant field upgrade, which is I think we all know is massively overdoing that. I don't even know what that would be, if we could.
You know, to that point, if I may, Mr. Russo, is $20,000 a reasonable number that we spend in that field? I know we don't spend it today, and one of the reasons we don't spend it today is it needs more than that to make that field up to what would be the standard 60 years ago, I think even better. I've heard that it's even harder to bring that field to where it needs to go. We're spending $10,000.
I would go with the $10,000 figure. I mean, I think we currently probably spend about $10,000 a year maintaining that field.
Cutting it, striking it.
Cutting, striking, painting. Could we spend more? Yes. We've done some things over the years where we've thrown to an outside contractor to come in, for example, and add dirt to do some grading in the field. So we've done some outside contracting for that. So those dollars add up. But I'm not sure about the $20,000, but certainly I would say we spent at least $10,000.
That may be an item we iron out, but
Well, Dan, this contract that you introduced, has anybody seen it? I mean, what exactly are we offering? Because I've never seen a contract, I've never seen any figures. I mean, all it is on the agenda.
sure. What we're doing is putting a vote of confidence in this turf committee that has brought this fall to this point. Right. And we're financing the completion of their field.
Well, by the same logic, I mean, we're putting a vote of confidence into our administrators. And by that same logic, we should wait until we have something in hand, until we have.
I think he's presented something in every meeting at that end of what he's going to propose. I mean, the actual written agreement as to how they're going to repay us or how these donations come to us, that is without a doubt a leap of faith in him and a faith in this committee and a faith in this community, because we're saying that this will stand behind the donations and the efforts of this group. If that's not the direction you want to go, then I certainly understand that. But that's what this vote would represent.
I think this committee's done a fantastic job. I mean, I have nothing but respect for what they've done. Yeah. What I'm saying is the school shouldn't enter into an agreement. The board should not enter into an agreement until they have it in front of them and can see it and read it and discuss it. And I don't see an agreement. I see an appropriation.
It's a loan.
Well, yeah, but to have a loan, you have to have a written agreement that has the terms of the loan and that explains how the loan can be repaid, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, Bill has done an enormously, really a fantastic job on this. And, you know, whether or not we raise the money in, say, a reasonable time frame like the year I'm talking about, we have to do the field, whether or not they came up with a nickel. If this group never came up with a nickel, the board would still have to redo the field. So everything they've done is really a contribution to the schools, because it means that that money that we do have to spend can be spent on the kids academically. And so it's a real contribution to this district. What I'm saying is we don't have anything in writing saying what the terms are.
Sure.
And we haven't had time to look at it even if we had it in writing.
Then if I may, to your argument, you made an analogy between the extensions of contracts and putting faith in him. The difference is timing. The extension of contracts, we have these folks under contract for 2 years. They haven't completed the first year. He needs that answer to complete that project this year. That becomes a difference. And I think there's plenty of time to hammer out the agreement on how that repayment comes. He's $160,000 short based on the donations that are pledged.
But you don't commit money before you have that hammered out.
In your opinion.
Well, for heaven's sake, you're talking about, you know, an obligation to fund like 450,000 or something, and we're going to hammer that out after we give them the money? I mean, you hammer that out before you give them the money.
And I think he's come to this board, at least I've been here for 6 months, and almost every meeting hammering out how he's going to do that. So I appreciate your argument. We can agree to disagree, but I appreciate your argument. Is there any other discussion, Joe?
Could I have a loan?
Is there any other discussion, Joe?
How long did it take Benson to pay back?
They had a $250,000 loan from the school, and they paid it back in 5 years. They gave them a 10-year loan for $250,000. They had to pay it off in completion in $250,000 in 5 years.
Do you know if there's an interest rate or how they did that? Or?
I don't believe that there's an interest rate involved, but I'd be speaking slightly out of turn.
And are there other projects that have been done? Like I know some people do walkway projects where they get the project done and then people donate money to sign the brick, so they don't. But if you get the project done, people are more likely to find the brick.
Yeah, and that's the idea behind what we're going to do. From a long-term perspective, what we're proposing, the stadium is obviously the centerpiece of where people want to market. I mean, that's where the most people come. So what we're proposing is as we do projects, as we do some of the other projects that we put this marketing on the stadium. So we might have somebody had suggested, unfortunately 3 weeks ago instead of 6 months ago, that there be a lower cost brick project specifically for an individual idea, which is sort of what you're talking about. So that's one of our plans, going forward, to start breaking apart projects, and that'll be the goal of this Boosters and Gridiron Club joint committee to determine how, where we would go on those projects.
But I guess my thought is I agree with Ben. I thought I think we've been listening to the project for 5 months, and we still don't have anything in paper. And I don't ask you for that, but I don't. And I haven't seen creative financing. So, as a new board member, who does that? I mean, like what you're saying, Ben. We've talked about this 6 times now. Who would be the person to draw up a piece of paper to get it before? Because I really thought that you were presenting last week. And again, I didn't have any information. I thought you were presenting with all the information for us to vote, because I thought that had all worked out in the background, but I'm not involved in that. So I don't, and it's not your job to do it. It must be someone in the administration trying to do it. I don't know, but I got 20 emails at the last meeting saying, vote for this project, vote for this project. And again, I didn't hear any communication. I really thought there was going to be something on the table saying, here's how we're financing this. So then,
yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I heard too. I thought we'd have some paperwork that would say, here are the terms, and here's where the money's coming from. Here's some proof of their assets. The normal things that you would want when you're spending this kind of money. And I mean, we all want to see this happen. It's not that we don't want to see this happen. I mean, if you talk about a politically disadvantageous vote, it would be voting against this. But we've got to make sure we're doing it in the right way, and we've got to make sure that we give them the tools to make it happen too, because they need terms to know where they stand, not after the fact, but before the fact, so that they're acceptable.
I agree, but where's the roadblock then? Because we talked about this for so many times, and I don't know where the roadblock is. I'm just saying.
Okay, I'll tell you something we need to see, because if they are, in essence, being loaned $400,000 or whatever the figure is, first of all, I'm not clear what the figure is, but Dan, do you have a figure that we're going to loan them? Or are we just simply taking over the project that we'll take over the project and accept a donation of whatever they have, which is between $165,000 and $193,000. We accept that donation and then we pay the balance of it, and then they attempt to raise the money to cover it. Is that essentially?
That is correct. That is correct. But he's also telling that he has like-kind of that number. He has like-kind donations from companies that are in part of this project. Yeah, what we're doing pretty much here, John, is giving a vote of faith to him, and a loan, a very large loan. He's giving you the projection of the people that are going to donate. They're donating over a period of 2 years.
And if I may, I did a little bit of due diligence work on this topic last week also. Two of sponsors of the project said that this money would not be guaranteed if it did not happen this year.
So,
So you're looking
What
at...
what we're looking at, though, is we're looking at, we've got an alumni person that we're going to have half-time, that we're going to pay around $25,000 a year to.
Yep.
And that we're also going to
But I
have
think it would be
appropriate
tremendous
some
help
funds.
to you. A tremendous help to you.
Some
to
funds
give
for
them
them. And I'm saying, what we're talking about is really an appropriation, and then they're going to do fundraising, because in a sense, there is no loan, because we have no loan documents, we have no collateral, we have no financial statements, we have nothing. We're appropriating money because we're going to do the stadium, and then they will attempt to raise money to compensate the school for doing that. And I think if we wait a year, we could raise the money, we have professional help to help them raise the money, and we know where we stand.
Sir, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There'll be time for your remarks. It's okay.
And no one's saying we're not going to do it. I mean, I think everyone agrees we have to do it. The question is how we do it. And the district has spent a ton of money. At the end of 5 years, we're looking at deficit spending. And here we're going to spend more money. I'd like to see us wait 1 year, allow professional fundraising to take place to help them do it, and then we'll know, because we can't put it off for very long. We have to do it, but we have the advantage of, and I agree, we probably would lose some funding. I think we gain far more than we would lose. You always lose funding when you delay something. Longer it's delayed, some people drop out. So that's inevitable.
If I may, Ben, I think I understand your position very well. Gentlemen, do you as well? Do you understand Ben's position, how he feels? I think I've had a chance to hear all of your opinions. I'd like to move to a roll call. Absolutely, I'm sorry.
Just to kind of clarify one question, Dr. Phelps was, I guess, asking about the process of getting the paperwork out, and should it have been someone from the administration. As Mr. Thorson mentioned earlier, we met on that Friday after the last board meeting with the committee, and the committee was then going back and going to work on the financing pieces of that. From there, I believe there have been some things generated, but I don't think those have been, not everyone on the board or administration has seen them. So I think it's something that's been worked on, but it exists, it just isn't in everyone's hands right now.
So how long will it, since we don't have a piece of paper or a loan, how long would that take to draw up? I mean, if that agreement is already kind of people, I mean, you have an idea in your head, other people have ideas in their head, how long and how much time do we have to draw? Because I think it's good to have a piece of paper more than just a concept. But how long will it take? Because we can't wait 2 months to...
Tom, it's drawn up. I mean, their agreement to repay us is drawn up. It's in John Margursky, the board's attorney's hands.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't had a chance. In here, some of these questions, and I've heard Ben to say, absolutely, this isn't like there's an individual taking out a mortgage with a term and something coming back. We're making a promissory note with a committee that they're going to keep up their efforts. And so your vote tonight is in faith in that committee to do so, in my opinion. Are we appropriating funds? We absolutely are. Are we lending money? In my opinion, we are. Formally, do we have terms, a contract, a mortgage? No, we do not. Do we have documentation to prove how they're going to pay us back time? We have that in place. We don't have that so that each board member can see that. However, I believe that we will by the time we're in that direction. We have to give these folks either a yes or a no. They've waited a long time for that. This is the best way that the committee that met saw us being able to give him a yes or a no. If you don't feel confident that those folks are going to raise that money, you have to vote accordingly. My opinion, and again, I'd like to move from this to a roll call. My opinion is they will, and I have the faith that they're going to do that. So
I'd just like to say, it's not a matter of confidence in them raising it. It's a matter of how you do business to the board. And the way you do business to the board is with responsibility of the public's money. And I think this is basically an appropriation. And they have done a fantastic job. And I'm sure they'll continue to do a fantastic job. And this is something that's very important to the school. I think it's the wrong way for the school to do business.
okay, Jeff.
Just one point of clarity on the motion for everyone's sake. The way I understand this, your motion is to it is basically a two-part motion. Is that one part is to accept a donation from the Gridiron Club from the turf committee, and then the other part is to authorize the project. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Just making sure.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Can we have a roll call? Right again. Does everybody feel comfortable with that? Roll call.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katowski?
No.
Dr. Phelps?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. More twice as much.
Not to be flip, but was that an approval?
Yes.
I've never had that since I've been on this board. I didn't know what it would sound like.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Mr. Katowski, to your point, let's get this hammered out. I mean, we have an obligation to get this hammered out. And your points are duly noted. It has to be a responsible approach. I believe that we'll have that. I truly do.
Okay, thanks, Ed. And they're great people. We've done a fantastic job so far.
Okay, was there any other committee or any other committee reports? I know that Jackie's not here with the policy.
Policy met, but we are waiting until Jackie's return.
Okay. Dr. Phelps, with Personnel Committee, was there anything you want to address?
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Palmer, did you want to talk about when we talk about the health services, or?
I think we can target that for the next June meeting.
Okay, just wanted to know.
Yeah. Basically, we had some discussions of ways to improve our delivery of health services, is what I would say in a short way to do that.
We've looked at options, but we haven't decided on anything.
Okay, in an effort to maybe get another applause, superintendent's recommendation, I like A, what he has to say. Jeff?
I'm pleased to say that through the collective bargaining process, operated with Mr. Nutter's help to get through that, as well as some administrators and Mr. Russo on the OC side, we did successfully negotiate fair contracts that were both ratified by the Classified Association, our OC number 255, as well as the WGEA, or Teachers Association. They're both for 3-year contracts, and those are included in your packets. And please, hopefully we will approve those so we can get those moving along.
I make the motion to approve them. Second. Any discussion? Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know they worked hours on it.
And I understand that teachers are happy with that. I mean, it's good. It's a good thing. Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mr. Katowski?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Item B or?
The remaining items. I do want to thank the associations also for their work in working through that process. It was very professional, very collaborative, and I think it will be good for the district moving forward. The remaining recommendations you have there, B through E, are some general things. Student handbook for the high school summer camps. We have some overnight summer camps that the board approves as a non-district sponsored trip, but just take care of that formality, as well as the annual membership in OHSAA and a couple of donations to the district.
We need a motion, Jeff?
Yes.
I so move.
Second.
Discussion? Or roll call?
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katowski?
Yes.
Okay, the next item that we have on here is probably, in my 6 months, one of the hottest topics we've talked about, and that's open enrollment. And I don't think there's any board member, with the exception of Mr. Douglas, that hasn't received a number of emails regarding how they felt about this, pros or cons, especially some heartfelt emails from those who are most affected, either my children or their parents. And I think it goes without saying, it's a heavy and hard decision to make in this board to tell a child that they can't return back to the school. And so in light of that, in light of some of those decisions, I think it's important for this board and for the school district to determine how large of the size we're going to be, whether it be through open enrollment, whether it be with our own students, whether it be absorption of maybe other schools, whatever that might look like. And so it's been brought to my attention, 3 years ago we had 108 students. A couple years ago we had 178. This year we have, Jeff, 240. Next year, these are open enrollment students. Next year, that number without those caps would have been a number approaching, I think there were 385 open enrollment applications, Jeff? 300, about that number. So I think as we look at this, it becomes that number. The board is doing some research on other districts in the state of Ohio that have open enrollment, what that percentage of open enrollment students are to residential students, and how we match up with that as we look at the long-term goals of this board. Those discussions will be had in public. They won't be done in executive committee, although I don't know that too many of those discussions have been done in executive committee, but I pledge they'll be done in the public. You'll hear the rationale behind where we're going and the idea behind why we want to do that. But most importantly, our next meeting, our next board meeting, we're authorizing what will be then our acting superintendent to reach out to those folks who have been displaced, 35, 37 of those students, just to tell them that, listen, we're looking at this, we're taking a very hard look at this, give us a chance to evaluate what happened here, why you were displaced, why you were asked not to return to the school district, in an effort to maybe take a harder look at that. We have a new board member, we have a new perspective. However, again, I think it's incumbent on us to try to find what that number is. How large will West Young School District look like? What will that number be? And what will we be comfortable with? I hear terms a lot that we wasted 20,000 or 40,000 or 250,000. This is the first time we've been at a number of 280. Years past, we were at numbers of 100 and 200. Those were numbers, to look at it like we wasted or we haven't got those in our budget is kind of a difficult, a sound argument, but kind of a difficult way to look at this. I think it's important for this board. We have the purchase and purchase report. We'll be able to listen to those results, how those results were obtained, what they actually mean, and how we can go forward with those and be able to make a sound decision. But we will look to have Mr. Nutter reach out to those students who are without a home, for lack of better terms, and one of which we offer to them. So that's our comments towards open enrollment at this stage. It needs a long, hard look. I know there are some in the community that don't want it at all. There are some that want it completely. And so somewhere between there has to be a compromise. I do recognize that this board is not going to make everyone happy with whatever that decision is. So from that standpoint, we're going to look at those folks. I think there's 35 or 37. I don't even know what the exact number is. That's a shame of it. I don't even know what the exact number of that is. And look to how many of our students are returning that are in our district, how many will be needed to be made in place of. So that would be our direction. And with that said, remarks to the public. I just asked for remarks to the public that it's been brought to my attention that some of the folks in the community didn't think they had enough time to say those things, and we try to balance it for folks that are in our district and folks that are directly affected by open enrollment that are out of our district. But more importantly, just if we can have a spirit of politeness, if I may. Okay? I know we all don't agree on it, but if we can be polite, that would be awesome. So I open the mic up. All that we ask from you, and let me just read. All persons wishing to address the board have a 5-minute limitation. Please state your name, address, and your topic.
My name is Bob Bauer. I live in Chesterland. I have 2 children going to school. And the subject, of course, is going to be open enrollment. So here we go. I sent an email to all the board members, actually 2 of them, but I would like to present the board with one piece of information that I'm going to be talking about. Do that.
Great things to get on guessing that. That's taking a lot of time.
Okay, what this is it's part of the communication wanted from Burgess and Burgess. In there it states that this was their information, when they summarized it. It states in their social media platforms give the district the power to shape the public's view of a story before before their own opinions. So basically, what it's saying is that the people in West Geauga need someone to guide them and tell them what to think. This goes way beyond any boundaries of doing an unbiased survey. I was part of the survey, and at the end of the survey they asked you, do you have any comments? And I said, yes, I do. My comment was that I would like you to provide the board with the questions and all the sentences that you said before the questions to the board. So that was my comment. She says, I'm typing as we speak. I have a copy of the results of that survey, and it lists all the comments. It's about 230 comments. My comment is not in there, which proves to me that the survey was not accurate. They are a political strategist, did it. AMM Political Strategies is the name of the company. They basically provide their boss, in this case Mr. Palmer, with a survey that provides them the information they want. I can't believe that anyone's, at this point with this information being public, I can't believe that they could put any weight at all on the results of it. Even with that being a slanted survey, which they would lead you, they would guide you before the question. Even with that, if you take the numbers that they did give, it shows that 59% of the people wanted a change. But that's not what you hear. You hear 61% approve of open enrollment. But if you look at the actual numbers and dissect, you'll see the 59% didn't want statewide open enrollment as we had it. That's even with the slanted numbers. So it's important to me, as a person that has children in there and was part of the survey, to let the public know that the survey really, in my opinion, really has no statistical basis. It's when they could pick and choose what questions, what answers to use in that survey. There's a few other things that I'd like to state.
We're running close on time, Bob, but okay.
Okay. What would be the most important here? Okay, here, about the cost of open enrollment. Here's what I essentially wrote to the board. It's not fair that my child costs $11,206 and an open enrollment pupil in the exact same seat next to him gets that same education for $5,703.91. I want my child to sit in that $5,703.91 seat. I deserve it. I've been paying taxes for a lot of years. I deserve that $5,700 seat, not someone that doesn't live in the district. Without open enrollment, if we were to just simply eliminate open enrollment, the cost would go up $448.24 per student. That's with no cuts in teachers, and assuming that the same amount of water and paper towels and damage or whatever would be done. That number would even be lower, and if they adjusted the number of staff according to the population, that number would almost reach zero. And even if it was $448, keep everything the same, I would gladly pay that at this point to just simply eliminate open enrollment and stop meetings like this that are, like the last one was 70% people that didn't even live in the district. We need to get our board back to a local board. It's called WestG Local School District. I want to get back to local. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm a non-resident.
Sir, just your name and...
Oh, I'm sorry. Steve Johnston. I'm at 5277 Marion, Lindhurst. I just wanted to speak about the meeting in the gym and the discussion we're having today, it seems like it's kind of apples and oranges. Residents seem to be very against open enrollment. Non-residents, obviously, are pro. What the group that's contacting you right now is about the 31 children who got squeezed out of their education here during this transition. We're not worried about it. I'm not qualified to tell you if open enrollment makes sense or not. That's your guess. I've had no plus or minus against open enrollment. My concern is the 31 kids, and again, I'm using 31, who came here, found acceptance, found fulfillment, and then had their legs cut out from under them by suddenly a change in the open enrollment program. I am not for the open enrollment program. I am for the 31 kids that got left out in the dark. And came here every day and did their job. So I'm asking you, please, to rescue those 31 kids. As far as the open enrollment program, all you residents, speak among yourselves, close it down, end it, or keep it going. I'm not qualified to give you any opinion on that. But I am qualified to give you an opinion on the 31, because one of them was my daughter. And I cannot begin to explain, they say when emotion comes in, logic goes out. So it's difficult for me to talk about it. But to come to the graduation here the other night, and it was a night of tears and sadness for her. It was basically a goodbye festival. And as she came off the stands to receive her diploma, she knew at home on the kitchen table was a denied letter. And a 13-year-old kid should not have to deal with it. And you being Board of Education, I'm asking you to rescue these 31 kids and then do what you wish with the open enrollment. It's your business. Thank you for letting me be a guest at your school. I appreciate that. But I'm asking you now, please take care of the 31 kids. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Gusher. I live at 8534 Trail Drive, right down the road. I wanted to talk about just education system here again. Something that I've been, myself and my wife have been concerned about is what's going on just opposite to Westwood and Lindsay right now. Me and my wife were out of state for a while. I was in the service and it kept me out of state. We had the opportunity to move back home. So we looked hard and we tried to figure out where we were going to go. I have some close friends who live in this district, and I know they know a lot about the teachers here, and everything was exceptional about it. The teachers were great. We heard nothing but great. They put on plays that were better than my high school plays. So it was one of the main reasons why we came here. And over the first 2 years, it's been great, but something I've been noticing this year that caught me off guard is there's a very large number of teachers in Lindsay and Westwood just being shuffled about like they're just regular cogs in just any old board game. And that's not the case. These teachers have worked very hard. They're exceptional at what they do. They're the reasons why students want to come here for open enrollment. They're the reasons why people want to move here. They have done a great job, and they can't just be moved around like it's just just some random piece. They need to feel comfortable. They need to be able to have confidence that they are being supported. From what I've gathered, a lot of this moving around has to deal with reading certifications. There's new requirements being placed onto the schools. And due to those reading certifications, you got teachers having to get qualified, taking this test, and get the certification. There are requirements that I've read that you need one per school. But I'm hearing that now they want all the teachers in third grade to have these requirements. So because of that, now you got people shuffling around, moving here and there, trying to make sure we're hitting the books and like the numbers on the book so it looks like we're doing it right. And then we're going to try to put them back. How is that going to help promote a teacher and make her or him feel like they're doing, they have support to do a good job. You know, it's not. You know, why am I looking at schools like Mentor, who they see that they adopted this program, having the teachers take these reading requirements, but they're going to say, okay, we're going to support you. We're going to pay for you to take the test. Go ahead and do it. It will be on us. We got your back. We're going to take care of you. That's not happening here. Mentor's a pretty large district. I bet they got a lot of third grade teachers. So if they're willing to do it, why all of a sudden this district that I came to, who I thought was just exceptional beyond all belief compared to all the local schools, why am I now looking outside and seeing other schools doing it better? I came here because I thought it was better here. And I think we need to take a step back, and whether we're passionate about open enrollment, whether we're passionate about turf, whatever it may be, if we don't get this right, all that stuff's not going to matter, because we're going to watch our educational system just crumble from underneath us. We're going to watch our teachers who have been in a school for several years, done a great job, all of a sudden say, okay, you're over here. Not even the same grade, just different grades, good luck. Have fun with that. That's not what I want. That's not why I came here. You know, being somebody who was in the service and deployed 4 times, I understand having a thankless job that I felt like was very passionate for me. And that's what teachers are. They have a job that's sometimes very thankless, but it's very, very important. And they need our support, and moving them around like this and changing things and putting requirements on them, acting like they're nothing more than hard tests like testers isn't going to cut. So they need our support. Let's not forget that with all the other issues going on. Thank you.
Open enrollment, wonderful. Mr. Thorsten, you told me you used open enrollment. You have a wonderful daughter, graduated with my son. It was okay for you. How about if that was your daughter who got cut off? She's a wonderful daughter. Great girl. But you know, you ran from a small school that you felt was not good enough for your child for whatever academic reason. You took that choice, you ran with it. I'm afraid that we're going to end up being that burden in that Newberry, because as a teacher, I'm listening to other teachers who are just talking about what a laughing stock the school district has become. It's sad. You want people to move here? Talk to the trustees. Find a way to get people to move here. Every time we come to a board meeting, people have questions, kids are crying, we have to talk about it, we don't know, we need a piece of paper, we need this. Nothing ever gets resolved. I want to talk about Mr. Palmer, who has done a phenomenal job here. Mr. Torrey and Dr. Phelps, I believe it was the two of you, because I remember based on other people, I go straight to the horse's mouth. In the paper you were quoted, Mr. Palmer, why did you resign? I don't know if we have full written out in HUD, but if that was the case and you truly believe that, why are you saying this salary? Because when we quit a job, no one chases us to pay their salary or their medical expenses. We don't make those mistakes. Okay? Now, if there was something legitimately he did wrong, then the public needs to know what it was. This is just absurd. These guys without contracts. Are you kidding me? They could run from this district. Not only are you destroying everything, but to put on hold these great administrators, I'm sorry I'm boring you, Mr. Corson, but this is a great district. This is my money, and the lawyer, is he not here today? Surprise. Some of my tax money is going to that lawyer. No. And all of you may be great people, but why are we losing treasure? And where's Mr. Torrey, who's now missed 3 meetings? I believe there's somewhere where you can't miss any more than that. Another thing we've done illegal is she should have stepped up as president, vice president until the next election. That didn't happen. There's too many hidden agendas. Please understand, this is not your private school. Those are called charter schools, if that's what you want. But this is our community. We pay. We all pay. And we want the school back to where it was. And we need somebody more than 4 months of experience. That's what.
I live at 147 Brush Road, and that's in Richmond Heights. I, of course, want to talk to you about enrollment. And whatever you decide to do with enrollment is your business. It's your district. You go to the constituents of that district, and that's fine. Whatever you do is fine with your district. I'm not the best person to talk about it. My problem is that I got a letter the second quarter of this year. If I would have gotten it in March, I would have gotten it in January, I would have had time to do something about it. I got it at the last minute. What are we supposed to do with it at the last minute? So I'm scrambling to come up with a plan because now my plan B doesn't work anymore. And as the months go on, as the days go on, more and more of my options start drying up. It's not as easy as simply sending it back to the police school that you need. That's not an option. You just wait. And really bad things happen to him. So he's not going back. All the charter schools, we capped out. Some of them we capped out. There's one seminars we left. I'm still looking. All of this, the scholarships for private Catholic school doesn't run. If I had the money to send for Catholic school, I would have done that instead. It's not 26 miles round trip. And that's the other thing. It's 26 miles round trip to send it here. So if I could move here, I would. Send him on a bus. I can't do that in a normal situation. I knew that it was a temporary situation. I knew that open enrollment was temporary. But I really, really wish that you guys would have given more time to take up and Europe and see if my plan B wasn't going to work, or at least get my backup plan to actually go into position and get into it. That's all I ask.
My name is Joan Kelly. I live at 8294 Cedar Road. First, Mr. Douglas, I wanted to congratulate you on your spot. One of the things I wanted to talk about, though, was the enrichment classes at the middle school. Our students that are enrichment classes got a list of their courses for next year with no enrichment on them. The teachers were not allowed to discuss enrichment classes with parents. The counselor was not allowed to discuss enrichment classes with parents. This goes to the whole secrecy thing. This is not a private school, it's a public school. And that goes along with the fact that if you feel right about your decisions, whether you're the director of curriculum or you're sitting on the board, if you think your decisions are correct, then state them and stand by them. Don't try to make the public wonder what you're doing. Because if you feel your decisions are right, then you're open for debate and you're open for people to disagree with your opinions. Right now, we don't know what the students have next year. Mr. Kish has always encouraged students to try any classes that they want. So it's not a tracking system. People can move up and down. But if you allow the state and the federal core curriculum and all that to run your school system, you're going to run it into the ground because that bar is so ridiculously low. Do not compare yourselves to the district that these kids in open enrollment are running from. Compare yourselves to districts compare yourself to Hawken and Gilmore and set a standard like that and say, this is what we want for our kids, not just to be better than the school districts the kids are coming from and trying to leave. So I just would like some clarity on the enrichment program to know if it's going to be there, if there's going to be opportunities for our students in the fall. Thank you.
Bill Beers, 11481 Chapin Street, Chesterland, Ohio. And I just have a couple of comments to the board. One, as you are looking at enrollment going forward, for probably the last 10 years, I have been tracking the enrollment in WestGBrd and projecting trends for what is likely to be happening. I am willing to share that with any of you, or Mr. Nutter, or whoever would like to see it. It has been shared with the board in the past. It's been shared with the Russell Zoning Commission, asked to see it. If you would like to see it, and if you, those of you that are new on the board may not realize what that means is you'll get about 50 pages of graphs. But sometimes visual pictures may be easier to learn. The other thing that I would just suggest to the board is something to consider in dealing with this open enrollment. It seems like we're kind of coming down to 30, 35 students, whatever that number is, that are sort of the focus of a lot of this kind of discussion. You're talking about going back and spending more time on figuring out how to handle it. Maybe the thing that you need to do as a board is just say, administration, we want those 35 kids back in here, make it happen, settle the question once and for all, even tonight.
Good evening. My name is Rick Snyder, 8230 Fairmount Road, Chesterland. Actually, what I like to do is just follow up pretty much on what Bill said, but on a little bit different bent. That is, you have to look at where these taxes are going to come from in the future, not just the enrollment, where the taxes are going to come from. And I have a few figures here that I'd like to just read off very quickly. Over the past 10 years, the 5-county area for our dental region, our population has dropped by about 3%. Jogging County has gone up by about 2.75%. However, if you look at Chesterland, we lost 6.5% of the population, and Russell, we lost 6.1% of the population. However, if we look at school age, and by school age I'm talking about where your students are going to come from, that's from 0 up to 18. Chester has lost 19.0%. Russell has lost 19.5%. So you're looking at much smaller classes going forward. Now, my daughter, I'm a 29-year resident of Russell. My daughter graduated from WestGBrd in 2008. Got a very good education, went to top school. Great. I got actively involved in following levies and promoting levies. And so I'm very keen on looking at what levies can pass and what levies won't really pass. And what I found is that Russell generally passes levies, whereas Chester is where the balance is. That's where the tipping point is. The not quite as likely to fine-tune the levy to Chester residents.
All right, let's look at the age of our population. In Jaga County in 2000, our median age, that is half the people are under and half the people are over, was 38.7 years. In 2010, it was 43 years old. For Chester, in 2000, it was 42 years old, and 2010 it was 47. In Russell, in 2000, it was 45 years old, and now it's 50.3. So as you can see, the Russell population is quite a bit older than the Jaga population, and even older than the Chester population. So what does that mean? That means that more people are retiring. We still choose to live in Russell, but they're not getting an income. More people are not getting income. So if we look at what happened to our taxes, the change in tax structure, the state government removed some of the taxes that both the school was getting and the communities were getting. For the townships, it was the state contribution which has gone down, and also the estate tax. So to do that, to compensate for that, Russell already increased, had a levy on the ballot last November, and it was passed, and that's to bring in more money. But what that's doing is it's transferring taxes from income taxes to property taxes. And instead, comes a problem for older people. As you get older and retired, property taxes are a much bigger deal than they are to working people. And that's why the median age really makes a difference there. Then if we look at the makeup of the township, 55% of the taxes to West Geauga comes from Chester. And that includes all the residential, all the industrial and retail taxes. 40% of the taxes to West Geauga, income West Geauga, comes from taxes of Russell residents. So Chester pays 55%, Russell pays 40%. Of the students, though, 70.5% of the students come from Chester. 29.8% of students come from Russell. So I'm not saying there's a big inequality there. Russell residents have been willing to pay their share. But what I'm saying is going forward now, you're going to have a lot more Russell residents who are not only older and not having income, but they don't have as many students in the school district. So I suggest that in the future, someone on the school board take a look at demographics and see what you're going to need to do to pass levies in the future, because it is getting more difficult, solely because there are more property taxes on the residents now than there were just a few years ago. And these are not including West Geauga taxes. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Senator Michael Zia. I'm from Lyndhurst, Ohio. My daughter is one of the 31 children who are still has been denied with the school. I'm here for those 30 just as well as Steve. He was speaking earlier. Gentlemen, sir, you said yourself, you as a board member should be affecting the classmates, all the schools, and what happens in the classrooms. Gentlemen, you are affecting by denying the children, those 31 children that you pulled out of the school system. You have denied them their classes. You denied not only just them, but you are denying also their friends. So you are basically disrupting the classrooms by denying those children, all the children, all their friends that they've had, that they've made throughout that school system. My daughter has been part of this building here for 3 years. She's grown to love, and she's been part of this school system, and she loves it. I would hate to see her denied for the last 4 years of her life here in this school system. I wish financially I could move into the system, but I cannot, and this president, that's another story. Anyways, gentlemen, please rethink the consideration for the 31 children that have been denied to come into the school system. I think on their behalf, like Steven said, you could basically cut their legs off and let them deny. My daughter graduated along with Liz back a couple days ago with the 8th grade graduation, and just to come home to see a table with a denial letter on it, it's just not fair to them as well.
covering what was not taken care of in that meeting. We could adjourn it, I don't understand where that meeting's going. On top of that, the discussion at that meeting was that we would have a meeting last Thursday at 5, which was canceled. And then Friday morning's meeting at 9 o'clock, I show up and here we don't know what's going on with the meeting. It may be canceled, it may be not. So I stayed at the board office till 9:20, 9:30 trying to figure out what was going on. Seems to be a slight lack of communication in the board right now, maybe the whole administration, I'm not sure. But as a parent, it's very, very concerning to me to the point where I am looking into private schools for my children because I need to know where they're going to be. That goes along with the whole enrichment thing at the middle school next year, the change of schedule that was told about the last few days of school, as well as the enrichment being changed the last few days of school. I went to NBCL for high school. I grew up in Cheshire and lived here my whole life. I went to NBCL. Some of my siblings went here. When the NBCL switched to block schedules, they knew about it 2 years in advance before they made any changes in the schedule, so that the parents would know what was going on, that everything was going to be communicated. We knew 2 years in advance before it happened. We find out a week before school's out. Not that it's a big deal. They're not changing a whole lot of things. I just think there's communication that needs to be better everywhere. The same thing with the teachers getting moved around at Lindsay and Westwood. You know, you walk through that building the last few days of school, and you've got kids who are upset because they don't know who their teacher's going to be next year. You've got kids who are looking forward to a certain teacher or continuity of education. You know, it's hard as a kid when you're 9 years old to know, you know, my teacher might not be there next year, or the teacher I wanted might not be there, or I can't go see my second grade teacher because they're moving to Westwood or they're moving to Lindsay. There just needs to be better communication in the district. I feel like there's a lot of black walls and holes, and I don't know where the answer is. And you ask one person one thing, and you get one answer, and you ask somebody else, and you get another. I'm not active. I'm involved in a ton of stuff in the community and in the schools, and if I don't know, because people come to me for answers, then there's something wrong. Not to try and be that person, but there's too many questions right now, and it's scary as a parent in this community to not know when I leave my door what's going to happen next, what board meeting is canceled now, who's saying what changes are being made that we have no say in, and my kids are scared, and it's not fair to them, it's not fair to the kids in the district. And it's not fair to the parents to not know when board meetings are. You know, as of the last 2 meetings, there were no board minutes on the website from January to April until that April meeting. There were no minutes. So if I wasn't here, I would have no idea what was going on. So if we could work on communication, I'd really greatly appreciate it.